everyone, welcome back to the man cave. Well, at least my office. This is not the man cave, but you might have a space like this in your house too. What we're doing now is we're going to continue on with the CNC plasma build, and what is happening with that is I'm upgrading the computer, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But the reason why is I'm upgrading the computer is I'm upgrading the whole plasma table. The original system that I had that ran on the Gecko controller, it runs off a serial port cable connection and stuff that connects to the computer. So my old computer runs off of Windows 7, which is, you know, it's okay. Don't get me wrong, it works well. It runs off of Sheet Cam and Mach 3. I wanted to upgrade to Mach 4, and I wanted to upgrade the Gecko controller to something, you know, that's USB based. And then by the time I do all that, I was like, okay, so I can use Fusion 360 and I can run their CAM software along with that, so I don't have to use Sheet Cam. I can just go straight from Fusion 360 straight to plasma cutting. And the computer that I have at shop won't handle it because I can't update it to Windows 11. Probably could, but the graphics on the computer, it will not run Fusion 360. So I had another all-in-one like we've used for the laser project graphics card, and it won't run Fusion 360. So we're building another computer, and what we're going to do today is we're going to put the computer together. I have got a micro ITX board and just a basic graphics card, which I'm hoping to run it. If it don't, we'll send that back and we'll get something that will run Fusion 360, because that's the whole purpose of this. Anyway, let me turn you around here and I will show you what we're going to be running. And I'm actually going to try to go through this build process with this one. It's not going to be a, you know, all the way through live thing. There's definitely going to be cuts in this because I screw up a lot, and y'all don't want to see that, but I will keep you updated on what my screw ups are and what I did to fix it, if it works. Anyway, here, let's take a look at what we got. Alright, so the first thing that we've got is, this is the board I chose, and there is a really specific reason why I chose this. One is because it was on sale on Amazon, and it was really inexpensive. The other thing is it does accept my chipset that I'm running, which is, you know, that's great. But it's tiny, it's small. We're going to be running, I'm not going crazy with RAM, but this is a DDR4 board, so we're going to be running just 16 gigabytes of RAM. So that should work well. Here's the graphics card that I'm going to run. I mean, I know there's more powerful stuff, but the big thing was size. It's of course, it's, you know, NVIDIA GeForce 1030. This should run my Fusion 360 well. I think this has 4 gigs of RAM, which Fusion only needs like 2 gigs. This is a refurbished product, so it was pretty inexpensive. So we're going to give this a shot, and this should be pretty low profile and fit inside this ITX build really well. This is the 3600. So this does not have integrated graphics, so we have to run a graphics card with it. This does have a cooler fan and stuff with it, the one that came with this originally, but I have opted for an ID cooling, really low profile fan that we're going to try on here. And this is the power supply that I chose. And I chose it for the pure simple reason that it's supposed to be a completely modular power supply, or fully modular power supply. So we'll see, but it should fit inside my build case. It's a little bit smaller. This is a 400 watt unit. The research that I did, I think everything that I have here is saying that will be at 240 watts. So this should be enough power, what we want to do. Running a 1 terabyte M.2 drive, or memory, or whatever you want to call it. And this is the other thing that I got, and I haven't even opened this yet. So this should be pretty interesting. Since we're going to be doing this inside of a separate enclosure case, I don't necessarily have the power switches and all that you would have with a normal case. So I ordered this. Let's see what this thing looks like. This should fit right on the platform where I'm going to have my keyboard and stuff, and it looked pretty cool. And so this should plug right into the pins on our board, and of course we'll run the wires in through the back side, but it has microphone and headphone jacks that I can plug into, and like I said, I can mount this anywhere remotely, really. It has 2 USB ports, which are great because I can just plug in whatever I need to plug in. And there's our power button with the reset. It's got a QR code there. We can scan it and see what it says, but it does have a pull-off sticker so you can actually stick it somewhere when you get done. But yeah, I think this is going to work really well for what I'm wanting to do. We're building all this, like I said, so we can run Fusion 360 and so we can run this. This is OpenBuild's black box system. This will run the drive motors, everything wires in here, limit switches wiring here. It's got your X, Y, Y2 and Z axis, so it'll control all those. This controller will actually control lasers. It will control, I'm doing a poor job at trying to advertise this thing, but it'll control lasers, it'll control CNC router. This thing will control just about anything that you want to hook to it. So we went ahead and dropped a little bit extra and got this. So hopefully it works out really well. We're going to find out for sure. Anyway, let's get to unboxing the rest of this stuff and let's see if we can get some things put together. So let's check this out first. Because I haven't even opened this up, and I know what I read online, but you know how that goes. Okay, that's promising so far. All the cables, it is fully modular, so that's great. So we don't have a bunch of extra cables we don't need. So next, here's the graphics card. Go ahead and pull this out. Let's look at it. There's no power plug on this, so this will just plug directly into our PCIe slots on the motherboard and power up from there. Just 2 monitor outputs, which I don't need any more than that. Not for what we're doing there. So yeah, so there's our graphics card and a massive board. This thing is just huge. Not really. Our 1 terabyte M.2 going here. Of course, the board plugs in here. Wires for our switch that'll go on the desk plug in here. I'll probably have to change some of the bracketry here in just a second for the fan, so we'll look over that and see what we got to do there. This board does support Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so we're good there. We'll stick our RAM on here and we'll double check, make sure our fan's going to clear the RAM. I did try to get some RAM that I think will be a little bit lower profile, so yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is see what we got to have as far as fan goes. What brackets we need to use, because we're not running an Intel, so we don't use that bracket. We are running the AM4 and 5, so this is the setup that we're going to use here. So, I don't know. So it gives us numbers, and we refer back to our list over here, and it tells us which items we're going to use. So, let me get all that laid out, and we'll get it installed on the board. Okay, as noted, I do not have the chip in here yet, but we're just going to set the RAM up here on the board. I'm not going to lock it down yet. I don't want to keep taking it in and out. Make sure we get it in the slots. I want to make sure that my cooler is going to clear. So if I've got this up and no chip in there, and it sets down and clears, it clears the RAM, then I know we're good, because this is going to go up, that's going to go down. So we still got the tape on it, nothing on here to interfere with any of that. So the cooler should fit. I think we can go either way. It should fit there. Awesome. It definitely have clearance. So it can either go that way or this way. And if it were to try to go this way, it would clear that way also. So and we should be good either way. That's one obstacle overcome. So now we can get the brackets on, get everything set in, place the CPU in. So first thing we have to do is pull these off, and these are the original coolers. If we were using the AMD fan, it would be plenty efficient for cooling, but with the other components inside the box, I want to make sure we can get everything that we can get cooling wise. It could run an AIO, but I don't need one for this. This is not going to be running that much. We're not going to be pulling that much stuff from it all the time. That's just a little overkill for what I'm doing here, I think an AIO is. But anyway, price on them have come down drastically. So, all right, let's go through, pick out the parts we need, and we'll get to installing. Okay, I think I've got everything laid out. Looks like for our build we're going to use the red standoffs. We just pop these apart. Just break off. Make sure you don't drop them in your computer anywhere. Standoffs just sit on the board like so. There's the ones we want to use. There we go. Okay. You want to snug these up. I wouldn't try to go extremely tight because we don't want to take a chance of damaging the board. But we want to make sure that we don't have anything vibrating loose on us. So, sorry, my fat arms are probably in the way, aren't they? There you go. We'll do the screwdriver just like that. I was not even paying attention to what you guys were seeing. Getting too much into this build here real quick. Let's see. Make sure those are straight. Alright. We have these snug down. Now, what do we want to do? Now I think I'm actually going to plug my plugs in. It's going to be easier to get to with the RAM out of the way. After we get that in, then we will drop the chip in, and we will drop the RAM in, then we will put the fan on. Making progress. So we've got our plugs wired up. I double checked all that. The wiring probably end up zip tying it to the fan motor. Next thing I'm going to do is install our 1.2 here, and then we'll install the RAM, and then we'll install the CPU, and then we'll install the fan. And then hopefully we're ready to power this thing up. So there's our M.2. I don't know if you can see that, but you just slide it in the slots. Make sure it pushes all the way in, just like that. You hear that little click. Make sure it sits down inside the little capture nut here. And there was a nut. Here we go for it. There is another standoff here in case you need a shorter one for some reason, but I should not. I do not see it. Well, that's great. I dropped that sucker. Let me come back and find it. It landed right there. I bet you guys saw that. I did not see that. So let's get this picked up. Change screwdriver tips. Alright. Again, we'll push this down, make sure it sets seats in there like it's supposed to, and make sure I don't get everything all wacky jawed out of place. That's in. Next thing is we'll snap our, well, let's go ahead and put our CPU in real quick. Fight around the RAM. Again, this is my used one. Made sure I cleaned all the thermal paste off of it before I ever pulled it out of the sockets of the other one so I don't get anything on the pins. We'll just give it a once over, make absolutely sure that we don't have any bent pins. So I like to just come down, and I know you can't see, but I like to look down at both angles to make sure I don't see anything that looks bent or out of the way. Does not. So next thing we want to do is flip up our little lever here, and then we have an arrow on this corner, an arrow on this corner, and you cannot see it on there, I'm sure, but there's a little teeny tiny arrow on that sucker. So we want to make sure we line those up, drop it in place, everything should sit well, and then we will, boom, and that's installed. So next we'll drop in our RAM. Does not matter because I've only got 2 slots, so if we only had 1 slot, we would have to find out which one's A, which one's B, which one it likes just a 1 stick of RAM in. But that's not an issue for us since we've got 2. Make sure when you're putting this in, it will only go in one way. Make sure you line up the slot in the bottom of your RAM here with the slot in your board. You don't try to force it in a way that it's not supposed to go. Alright, once you do that, watch your little tabs. You should hear a click and a click, and can't do it really well in this cardboard box. That one went. There we go. Both of them are clicked in well. Stick the next. Oh my goodness, that didn't do it well. Stick the next one in, making sure not to pull out our pins here for our switch. Make sure it's lined up, and we will snap it in. So that's in and that's in, so that's all good. Next we'll put some thermal paste on our pad here, and we will drop our cooler on. And then once we drop that on, which we've got peeled sticky off, we always like that, make sure you remove that before you put it on, or else you will have some overheating issues. But first of all, we're going to set this over and make sure that we are in position, and I'm not. Something's not lining up. You know what? We've got our stands on backwards. They've got to be flipped around. These have got to be to the inside. So let's make that switch. Thought I heard somebody yelling at me earlier about that. Da-da-da. I'm all thumbs today. Snug that up. Let's flip our other one around. Gotta check that before we put a bunch of thermal paste and junk on. All thumbs today. Oh wow, that one off, didn't even realize it. That back on, that back, that back, that back. That's on. Let's double check it again this time and see if it lines up. It's looking better so far. That one will, and that one will, so that is awesome. So we can do it that way. Or we could actually flip this puppy around this way. Do it here and here. No, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it does look a little better to me that way. So I think we're going to try it this direction. Of course, if I do it the other way, we may have some air blowing down through the ram, but this will blow down on the other components. We're going to run it like this. Put your comments below which way you think it should run, but we're going to try it this way. Alright, let's mount the fan. Let's plug it in. Then we'll put the video card, the GPU on it, and hey, we'll hook up the power supply, and I think we'll be ready to fire this puppy up. ID Cool fan comes with thermal paste, but actually I purchased some Noctura. We're going to give this a try. I don't have anything against the ID Cool stuff. I didn't know it came in it, so I bought some more just in case, because the little bit that I had left was about gone. So anyhow, comes with a nice cleaning pad here to clean the CPU, so we can make sure it's all nice and clean and dry. And remove our warning sticker here, and we will clean that puppy off real quick. And we will apply some thermal paste. Some people say all you need is a little dot, and others say you need all this extra stuff. I don't know. I'm just going to do an X. That's what I've done in the past. Seems to work well. So here we go. Make sure that's all dried off. Dot, 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 dot. That's the way I did it on the other one. When I pulled it off, you could definitely see some squish in it. It looked like it had done really well. So we are going to attach the fan now and screw this puppy down. I still don't know which way I really should go. Should I go this way? Yeah, let's go this way. Started there. It started over here. And there we go. It's screwed down evenly on both sides so we're not pulling up too much on anything. Make sure we've got a good fit. Then we'll mount the fan, we'll plug it in, and then we'll plug up some power. Okay, fan's mounted on, plugged in. Next we will install the graphics card, and then we'll hook up the power to installing the graphics card. Pull this and then install that. So we got the motherboard, or not the motherboard, but the GPU. Like I said, it's a baby when compared to today's standards, but just slips right in here. Make sure we get it seated all the way in, and everything's clipped in place, so that's connected. Now we hook up the power supply, and I can plug in a monitor and we'll see if we get a post. Alright, here comes our moment of truth. Got everything wired up. We're going to power this thing on and see what happens. If it posts like it's supposed to, then I'm going to cycle it back off, and we're going to go ahead and install Windows on it, and then I'm going to install Fusion on it and make sure that this graphics card will do what we want to do. And that was 75% of the reason for building this. See, let's give it a try. Make sure the power supply is on, and I got nothing. Power supply is on. We got power. Power supply's spinning up. The fan for the GPU spinning up. The fan on the processor's pulling up. Now we just gotta wait and see if we get a post. Hey, here we go. So we got a post. We're going to go in, do our setup in our BIOS and stuff, and install Windows. So that's great. I'm not sure how clearly you can see a lot of this on here, but make sure when you're going through your setups, Windows is all set up. Make sure when you're going through and you're installing, either you read everything, because there's stuff in here that I did want to install that wasn't checked, and there's things that I don't want to install that was checked. Of course, it automatically tries to throw Norton press on there or security, and I do not like using that at all. And then I'm not sure what CFOS speed utility is. I'm not worried about using that either. So, but we're going to install the rest of the drivers, and everything else is looking promising. We'll get Google Chrome installed after this installs its stuff and re-updates, and then we will do the Fusion 360 install and see how it runs on this graphics card. This will probably take a few minutes and we'll come back to it. So after a few challenges on getting Fusion to load or install and sign in, that was my problem, was getting it to sign in. I had to uninstall it. I think what the problem was I tried to install Fusion at the same time that everything was booting up on the board and it was installing new stuff. So anyhow, we've got that to work. It does sign in. Seems like everything is working like I wanted it to. I think this little MSI graphics card is going to work. I have not seen any errors on this screen. So that's the conclusion of this build. So it's up and running. That's working like it should. At least the Fusion 360 stuff is. So that'll be the conclusion of the actual build and setup of the computer board. Next thing we're going to do is design an enclosure to house the black box that I got from Open Builds. I'm going to get their software loaded on this computer and hopefully have everything integrated in one enclosure. That's what I was looking for. I was missing the panel for the back of this where it would go in the case. I don't know how much of an issue that's going to be. It would be nice to have it, but I don't know if I'm actually going to have that accessible outside of the case anyway, so it may not be a problem at all. If you have any questions about the build, feel free to drop me a line. I'll do the best I can to answer any questions that you may have. It's doing what I need it to do, and that's all I care about. Wi-Fi and all that stuff works well, so I think it's going to do well. So let's get the rest of the software installed, and y'all have a great day. Like I said, if you got any questions, hit me up, and I'll do the best I can to answer. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching.